Regional trade and cross-border energy connectivity key priorities in ASEAN summit. No distribution of aid in Gaza yet due to insecure route. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm SAHIH and you're watching World Today. Malaysia has outlined strong economic integration, the expansion of regional trade and cross-border energy connectivity as key priorities during its ASEAN Chairmanship in 2025. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the move is part of a bold strategic vision to bring ASEAN into its next phase of growth as the region navigates intensifying global geopolitical challenges. Also in focus, regional cooperation through the ASEAN Power Grid project, with the first phase linking Vietnam to Peninsular Malaysia.
We have announced, as far as our thrust of ASEAN this year, is of course to strengthen the cohesiveness, to increase intra-ASEAN trade, to focus on the economy and investments among the countries. Specific program includes the ASEAN Power Grid, which, alhamdulillah, have been quite successful. Petronas TNB has signed with Petro Vietnam, and probably during one of the sessions, both Vietnam, Singapore, and Malaysia will do it. Of course, the later phase, by land, there will be, of course, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand.
Datuk Seri Anwar was speaking during a special briefing with local and international media editors in Putrajaya on Wednesday. Tensions continue to rise in the West Asia as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signals openness to a temporary ceasefire in Gaza, but only as part of efforts to secure the release of hostages. The announcement comes amid growing international pressure over Israel's renewed military offensive and the ongoing blockade of humanitarian aid into Gaza. At least 20 hostages are still believed to be alive, but despite talks of a pause, Israel maintains its military goal to bring the entire Gaza Strip under its control. Meanwhile, new diplomatic fallout emerged after Israeli troops fired warning shots near a group of foreign diplomats visiting the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry has accused Israeli forces of deliberately targeting the delegation near the tense city of Jenin. The incident drew swift condemnation from several countries, including France, Germany, Canada and Turkey, as well as the European Union. The United Nations said no aid has been distributed in Gaza 2 days after Israel lifted an 11-week blockade and began allowing limited deliveries into the enclave. Israel claimed that about 100 trucks of aid have entered Gaza since Monday via the Kerem Shalom crossing. The aid was to be unloaded on the Palestinian side of the crossing, where it has to be collected by the United Nations. UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric said that while UN teams within Gaza had managed to reach the recently delivered aid, it had not been removed from the Kerem Shalom loading area because the access route within Gaza was not secure.
This is yesterday, right? The Israelis told our colleagues, we will clear a road for you, and by clear I mean that they commit not to engage in any kinetic activity along that route. That's one part of the equation, right? We felt we have to make our own decision, right? We have to assess the risks, which are great to start with, if we want to take even greater risk. Our colleagues on the ground felt that the road was too congested and unsafe, so we did not take that road. We are engaging with them and engaging today, and as I said, things may change still today, to go in different routes.
He added that UN officials are speaking with Israeli authorities to determine if another route can be used, and there was still a chance that trucks would be able to leave on Wednesday. Dujarric said the aid delivered included baby food, flour, medicine and nutrition supplies. However, he said that Israel has not allowed hygiene products or fuel into Gaza as of Wednesday. President Donald Trump's proposed missile defense project called the Golden Dome is facing serious technical, financial and political challenges. The system aims to defend against a wide range of threats, from intercontinental ballistic missiles to hypersonic weapons, cruise missiles and drones. Trump wants it operational within 3 years by the end of a potential second term. But 4 months after he directed the Pentagon to develop options, few details have emerged. Experts warn the biggest hurdle will be cost, industrial capacity and political support. Melanie Malu of the Centre for Strategic and International Studies says those barriers can be overcome, but it will take clear focus and prioritization. She also highlighted concerns over the atrophied US defense industrial base, though some efforts to rebuild it are already underway. Progress on critical components like sensors and interceptors is also needed. Trump has announced an initial $25 billion in funding, estimating a total cost of $175 billion. That figure is likely far lower than the actual price of such a system. Air traffic around Moscow was disrupted earlier today as the Russian capital came under a heavy drone attack, the city's mayor and the Civil Aviation Authority said. Russia has intercepted 23 drones flying towards Moscow since midnight, Mayor Sergei Sobyanin wrote in a series of posts on Telegram. The attack came a day after 27 drones were launched towards the city. Russia deployed a record number of drones against Ukraine at the weekend, Kiev said Sunday. The two countries have deployed drones against one another on a near-daily basis since Russia launched its military offensive on Ukraine more than 3 years ago, but Moscow has been rarely impacted. Flights were halted at multiple Moscow airports, said Russia's aviation authority Rosvastia. Planes have been grounded at the city's main Sheremetyevo airport, as well as Vnukovo, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky. Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly rebuffed calls by Kiev and the West for an unconditional and immediate ceasefire. Russia now controls around a fifth of Ukraine, including the Crimean Peninsula, which it annexed in 2014. The fighting has killed tens of thousands, forced millions to flee their homes and destroyed cities. Up next, G7 finance ministers convene in Canada, looking to restore trade stability. Stay with us.
This year, the 46th ASEAN Summit and related summits bring together Southeast Asia's leaders for a more brighter and connected future.
With peace, prosperity, and partnership at heart, the summit paved the way for regional collaboration in trade, climate action, digital innovation, and more. More than a meeting of minds, it's a celebration of diversity, diplomacy, and determination. Join us as we write the next chapter of ASEAN's journey, inclusivity and sustainability. Welcome to the 46th ASEAN Summit and related summits.
Follow daily reports and live coverage on TV1, Saluran Berita, and RTM ASEAN.
Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim says Malaysia is focusing on domestic economic reforms as a foundation before deepening regional partnerships, including with ASEAN, China, India, Pakistan and the European Union. He noted growing engagement from the EU, which is now taking a more active role with ASEAN amid shifting global trade dynamics, especially following recent US tariff policy changes. He described that the early discussion with the US regarding the issue was positive and offered a platform to clarify Malaysia's trade position.
There was a follow-up meeting, as you know, in Korea, and amazingly, you have seen the statement by the ASEAN, China, Japan, Korea, which is, to my mind, very positive, because at least shows that we are prepared to look at it and promote openly multilateralism.
Dato Sri Anwar reaffirmed Malaysia's commitment to remaining a trading nation and said that, in addition to traditional partners such as China and the US, the country is exploring new markets, including engagement with Russia. Malaysia will also participate in the upcoming BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in July. Singapore's economy rose faster than expected in the first quarter year-on-year, pushed by stronger global demand as businesses rushed to beat the imposition of higher US tariffs. The government, however, warned that downside risks remain as a full-blown trade war between the United States and China could still reignite after the end of a 90-day pause. Singapore's trade-oriented economy expanded by 3.9% in the 3 months to March from the same period a year before, surpassing an advanced government estimate of 3.8%. It was, however, weaker than the 5% expansion in the December quarter. And on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the economy contracted by 0.6%, signalling the risk ahead. Although US President Donald Trump imposed a baseline 10% tariff on Singapore, the city-state is vulnerable to a global economic slowdown caused by its heavy reliance on international trade. Uncertainty will likely lead to weaker spending as business and household adopt a wait-and-see approach. The ministry maintained its forecast for the economy to grow at between 0 to 2% this year. This was a downgrade from its previous growth forecast of between 1 and 3%. Finance ministers from the group of 7 industrial democracies met on Wednesday with hopes of agreeing on policies to restore global growth and stability as tensions over new US tariffs continue. Canadian Finance Minister Francois Philippe Champagne said the meetings over the next 2 days will be about back to basics and discussions about excess manufacturing capacity, non-market practices and financial crimes. He said discussion would take place within the G7 and bilaterally with US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about the impact of President Donald Trump's new tariffs on trading partners. Bessent has sought to push G7 allies to more effectively confront China's state-led, export-driven economic policies, arguing that this has led to excess manufacturing capacity that is flooding the world with cheap goods and threatening G7 and other market economies. But G7 members Japan, Germany, France and Italy all face a potential doubling of reciprocal US duties to 20% or more in early July. Britain negotiated a limited trade deal that leaves it saddled with 10% US tariff on most goods, and host Canada is still struggling with Trump's separate 25% duty on many exports. Champagne also said that the G7 group would discuss ways to better police low-value package shipments from China to combat smuggling. In a major shake-up in the tech world, legendary designer Jony Ive, best known for the iPhone, has officially joined OpenAI to lead the design of new AI-powered devices. The announcement came in a video released by OpenAI on Wednesday, revealing that Ive's design firm I.O. has been acquired in a deal valued at $6.5 billion. While details remain under wraps, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman called a prototype shown by Ive the coolest piece of technology the world will have ever seen, hinting at a bold new chapter for AI hardware. The San Francisco-based company closed the clip by saying it expects to unveil the first device from the collaboration next year. Jony Ive is widely credited for shaping Apple's most iconic products, including the iPod, iPhone, and Apple Watch, working closely with Steve Jobs to redefine modern tech design. His move to OpenAI signals growing competition in the AI space, particularly as Apple faces criticism for falling behind in AI innovation, especially with its aging Siri assistant.
Finland has completed the first 35 kilometre of a 4.5 metre high fence it is building on its close eastern border with Russia to stop migrants from crossing via the wilderness. The fence consists of a 3.5 metre high metal railings topped with a metre high roll of barbed wire and is equipped with cameras, sensors, loudspeakers and light and expected to be completed by the end of 2026.
Finland began constructing the fence last year in response to migration via Russia through the border in 2023, which it believes was deliberately orchestrated by Moscow. After decades of peaceful relations with Russia, Finland joined the NATO military alliance 2 years ago in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The same year, in 2023, some 1,300 migrants from third countries such as Syria and Somalia arrived via Russia at the Finnish border to ask for asylum until Finland closed all 8 passenger crossing points to Russia. Russia has denied orchestrating the migrant flows. Virtually no migrants arrived after Finland closed the border for passengers at the end of 2023, but the border guard defended the decision to build the fence. The European Court of Human Rights has asked Finland to justify the indefinite closure of the border.
A suspected suicide bomber targeted a school bus in southwestern Pakistan, killing at least 4 children and 2 adults on Wednesday. The bus driver and his assistant were among those killed in the attack in Khuzar district of Balochistan province on the way to a school that caters to the children of army personnel and civilians living in the area.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif accused arch-rival India of backing the militants that carried out the attack, coming almost 2 weeks after the two sides settled a ceasefire to end their most serious conflict in decades. The military also said in a statement that the attack was planned and orchestrated by India. New Delhi's Foreign Affairs Ministry said in a statement that India rejects baseless allegations, adding that it was second nature for Pakistan to blame India. The nuclear-armed neighbours regularly trade accusations that the other supports militant groups operating in their territory. The 4-day conflict earlier this month was sparked by an attack on tourists in Pahalgam in Indian-administered Kashmir that India accused Pakistan of backing, for which it took revenge. Pakistan denied any involvement in the attack.
In sports, Spurs edged United 1-0 in Europa title showdown. Stay tuned.
Sebuah program bual bicara santai berkaitan sukan.
Masih lagi bersama dengan kami berdua, saya Q Amril dan juga Jit Zulkifli akan bersama dengan anda untuk perbincangan komprehensif dalam planet sukan.
Mengupas topik-topik hangat dan isu-isu sukan.
Pasukan sokongan dia. Satu fenomena baru.
Suntikan semangat kemudahan sukan yang khusus.
Bersama atlet-atlet dan penggiat sukan negara. Planet Sukan. Setiap Jumaat 10.30 malam di TV1 dan saluran sukan RTM. Juga penseriaman langsung di RTM Click.
Starting off our sports segment this afternoon, national men's doubles pair Aaron Chia So Yik hit the ground running at the Malaysian Masters 2025 by checking into the second round in Axiata Arena. The newly crowned Thailand Open 2025 champions had no problem to brush aside the challenge from Chiu Siang Cho Wah Chi Lin of Taiwan 21-18, 21-16.
Aaron was relieved that the strategy was on point to thwart their opponents during the 39-minute clash. Wu Yik, on the other hand, expects a tricky journey ahead in their first meeting against another Taiwanese pair, Liu Kuang Heng, Yang Peng Huan, in the next round today. National women's double pair Pearly Tan and Tina continued their winning streak after clinching the 2025 Thailand Open last week, as they also advanced to the second round. Seeded third in the tournament, the national pair had no trouble putting aside the challenge of Hong Kong's Fan Ka Yan, Yao Mao Ying, 21-17, 21-16 in straight sets at Axiata Arena, Bukit Jalil. Pearly Tina are scheduled to meet the Thai pair Pichamon Pachatara Pitsusin Natapa Suklat in the second round after they defeated the Indian pair Rasmi Ganesh and Sanya Sikandar. Meanwhile, single shuttler Ng Zi Tong, to go further in the Malaysia Masters, was put on hold after sustaining injury on his right knee during a clash with Nga Ka Long from Hong Kong. Zhe Yong secured the first set with a 22-20 score against his opponent. He was leading 4-3 in the second set when he sustained the injury.
On the injury, keeping a positive mindset, we hope it's nothing major. The first sort of test done here is that there's definitely happened something, but we'll have to wait and see from the scan tomorrow before we can be able to make a proper statement on this situation.
Zhe Yong, 25, who had only recently returned to competition last April after a long layoff after 2 surgeries on his back.
In football, Brandon Johnson's scramble goal ended to Tottenham Hotspur's 17-year trophy drought in a battling 1-0 win over Manchester United in the Europa League final this morning. Spurs, who had not won European silverware since 1984, will play in next season's Champions League while failing to qualify for it is a severe financial setback for Manchester United.
It was a match between teams languishing in 16th and 17th place respectively after the small Premier League campaigns, and that was the essence of it too. Played at high intensity but with low confidence. There were a large number of turnovers, neither side keeping the ball with any ease, moves ending in panic defending, and balls being thumped to safety or a litany of clumsy fouls. Spurs made the breakthrough after 42 minutes and, perhaps fittingly, it came in the form of a scrappy goal. Tottenham midfielder Sarr, who had completed just a single pass to this point, curled in a cross to the near post for Johnson. The winger's attempted flick bounced off Shaw's shoulder, brushed Johnson's boot again and crossed the goal line in slow motion, with Andre Onana unable to claw it out with a desperate arm. Meanwhile, Tottenham manager Ange Postecoglou said he was very hungry to build on his success after winning the Europa League, with speculation still swirling around his future. The Australian's job is still on the line with the club 17 in the Premier League after a dismal domestic campaign, and he said the decision is not up to him.
All I've done my whole career is win things, and but I understand, you know, look, obviously the way things have gone in the league, you know, people are rightly to be concerned about. I said I don't think there's a true reflection of where we're at. But whatever happens, I said my own sort of belief in what I do doesn't waver, and I'll continue to kind of push on to do what I do.
Postecoglou had stated that he always wins a trophy in the second season at the helm of his clubs, and his words came true at St. Names. Postecoglou, who won trophies with Celtic, Australian side Brisbane Roar and Japan's Yokohama F. Marinos, said he thinks Tottenham can progress to further success in the near future.
Still in football, Barcelona have extended coach Hansi Flick's contract until 2037, the La Liga club said on Wednesday, as they rewarded the German coach who led them to 3 domestic trophies this season. Flick arrived in Barcelona eager to redeem himself after he was sacked by Germany in September 2023.
Barcelona quickly established their domestic dominance under Flick, sitting top of the table for most of the season before sealing their 28th La Liga title with 2 games left to play. They also won the Spanish Super Cup and the Copa del Rey, beating arch-rival Real Madrid in both finals. Barcelona played Real in 4 Clásicos this season, winning all and scoring 16 goals against them. Flick also led Barcelona to the Champions League semi-finals, where they were knocked out by Inter Milan, with the Italian side edging them 7-6 on aggregate.
On to Saudi Pro League. John Duran and Cristiano Ronaldo got on the score sheet as Al Nassr claimed a 2-0 against Al Khalij in the Saudi Pro League on Wednesday. The result means Al Nassr remain 4th with 67 points, while Al Khalij sit in 10th on 37 points.
Tries again.
Duran headed in Sadio Mane cross to open the scoring 15 minutes from time. Ronaldo then redeemed an earlier penalty miss with a converted spot kick deep into stoppage time to seal all 3 points for the visitors. It was the Portuguese keeper's 24th league goal this season. Al-Nassr are 1 point behind third place Al-Qadsiya with 1 game to go, with the two teams fighting it out to claim the last place in next season's Asian Champions League elite.
He went the same side. It was right.
In tennis, Novak Djokovic saw off Martin Fucsovics in straight sets to belatedly secure his first victory of the clay court season in Geneva on Wednesday. The 24-time Grand Slam champion, who turns 38 on Thursday, is playing in Switzerland to gain some extra match time ahead of the start of the French Open this weekend.
Djokovic eased to a 6-2, 6-3 win over Hungarian Fucsovics to set up a quarter-final on Thursday against Matteo Arnaldi. Italian Arnaldi dumped Djokovic out in his opening match at the Madrid Masters last month after the Serb also lost his opener in Monte Carlo to Alejandro Tabilo. Djokovic, who is 6th in the ATP rankings, did not face a single breakpoint in a dominant win over world number 134 Fucsovics. It was his first match since splitting from coach and former rival Andy Murray last week. Novak Djokovic launches his latest bid for a record-setting 25 Grand Slam title at the French Open, hoping to fight off his advancing years and potentially end a 10-month wait for his 100 ATP tournament victory. Djokovic, the last active member of the Big Three after the retirement of Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, has been ranked outside the world's top 3 since last September.
On to cycling, Richard Carapaz won stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia on Wednesday as a Mexican rider, Isaac Del Toro, kept hold of his overall lead in the Grand Tour. Former Giro champion Carapaz claimed his first win of the year on a tough 186-kilometre ride from Viareggio.
Carapaz shaved 14 seconds of the gap separating him from Del Toro, who finished second and stays in the pink jersey. Carapaz's win was his 8th on a Grand Tour and announced his bid to repeat his overall Giro victory from 2019, his only title from a major 3-week race. Del Toro is 31 seconds ahead of Juan Ayuso in the general classification as the title pretenders cross at the same time behind Carapaz. There was some local joy as Lorenzo Fortunato extended his already heavy lead in the mountains classification over Ayuso to 102 points after being first to the summit of the 2 of the 3 categorized climbs of the day. Giolo Ciccone moved up a place to 7th in the general classification after finishing 3rd on the day, just behind Del Toro, while Antonio Tiberi is also in the hunt at just over a minute behind the overall leader.
And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, regional trade and cross-border energy connectivity key priorities in ASEAN Summit. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. for more on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. Or you can always stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm SAHIH from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Goodbye and thank you for watching.